Okay, good morning, all of you.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning. So, I would start from where we had left in the last session. We can have a brief introduction, those who are not introduced in my last class later. Now, let's start with the structured presentation, which I would be taking around 1 hour. Then we can have a case discussion, then some exercise. Today, the purpose of this session is just to understand how to start a research and how to get idea. Once we have something in mind regarding the topic, how do we proceed? How do we identify the requirements if we need data? What type of data? Data requirement discussion will be discussing in detail in the next class. I think I have already shared the PPT. I may modify the PPT, whatever I have uploaded. I think I have some minor revisions here also. I would be sharing the revised PPT again. And if you recall, we had suggested there is a reference book. There are other books also. This book, first chapter, I had already shared with you. And here is the link. Hope some of you might have gone through. And but I would suggest you, if you please participate our sessions of Sumita and myself. We will be recording all our sessions, and that would be more than sufficient. May not need reading any book. What we had tried to discuss and convince ourselves, including me, that research, we should understand it's not your doctoral research project. In general, if you are starting any kind of research project, writing any research article, it should be self-motivating and self-satisfying. And the objective should be, am I going to have something new for knowledge creation? This is what we had discussed in the last class. And we discussed that to have a good topic back of our mind, we should remember that can I publish? Will it be accepted by the journal editor? So we have to have a good research topic. We had suggested that maybe like you need to read literature continuously, and today just we'll have very few indicative examples so that that will help us focusing ourselves into our area of interest. I'll start with a very interesting finding. This had come in almost all dailies. The caption says that the emotional distance between father and son is getting breached. What it is expressed here is, if you recall, even our time. So when I was a kid, we all were really very afraid of our parents. We never talked to our fathers. Something like, I don't know, like we used to beaten off there. So when I became a father, I remember like when my son used to come from my, maybe like he comes from my his school. So he'll be just throwing his books and coming out with bat and ball. I will be bowling to him, or he will be bowling to me. We'll be playing cricket. Okay. So there was something like gradually over the generations. So some finding is there. So the emotional distance is getting breached. So when we are talking of emotional distance, I request you all to try to understand the keywords which will be repeating by me, by Sumita. They are for some constructs and concepts. So these two terms, please remember, will be repeating hundreds of times. So here, emotional distance, how do we measure? Say, for example, the closeness or the bonding and the like. Say, for example, the relationship and the bonding between father and son, mother and son, mother and daughter, which is closer? How do we measure? Can I measure this? If at all, how do I do that? Moving forward, another study, I'll just giving some example. Somebody has found that elevation makes a person more caring. I just try to explain this. Elevation means promotion in organizations. If we get our timely promotions, which we deserve in time, not delayed, then we feel happy. And in turn, we take care of our colleagues, subordinates. So if you please see note here, height, tide means related to helpfulness. Those who have done some RM course in your master's degree, hope you understand these are two related variables. Can I have some input? Maybe like Mr. Sudarshan Behra, do you find any? Can you name these two factors, which I may say variables? Can you read my mind? Maybe like I'm asking if you, some of you can tell me one is dependent, another is independent.
Sir, elevation means somebody will get some the decision in the organization, then it will be go up. And elevation makes people more caring. It's true.
So the height means as you go up. As you go up the ladder in your organization, so your kindness, helpfulness will also grow. That's what some finding says. So what they have established, elevation makes people more caring. So I think this is dependent on this. Okay, slowly we'll be giving more example. So I am indirectly presenting you, not today, causality, cause and effect relationship. Okay, so that's what I wanted to present through this example. Okay, one more example here. So which is very current, as we know that that was a Herculean task when we had to supply vaccines all across the country. You can imagine all districts, all blocks, health centers, and it's not 100 crore. I think as of last week, I think 160 crore jabs already given. So you can imagine the huge task of this supply chain, how it is managed, supervised, distributed, whole lot of things. So can we take this as a case study research? Now, what I'm just asking all of us, which includes me, is it triggering something that yes, something can be done on this? Maybe like just I can give you some hints. Maybe we may think what we can do. So when we're discussing, I'm just trying to suggest, can you add value, something new? Maybe like a case study research, or could be like say some functional areas. It could be SCM, supply chain management, or we can study as social scientists, socio-psychological barriers. Earlier, when government decided that we should have vaccination 1 year back, there was a lot of hesitation. Okay, so the barriers why people fear. Okay, and the econometric issue or the optimization issue, and also we can think of some impact study. So the topic is one. You can think of different aspects on which one can do research. Okay, maybe like as you might have seen earlier, not now, hesitancy factor has greatly reduced, but earlier when it was done first time last year, there was huge hesitancy. And not only in India, in other countries also. This report is for US, and earlier it was as high as 58%. Gradually it reduced. I think people are now very much interested to take the third dose also. Okay, we can take another example of pollution. Now, this I can skip, say how it is acute getting this. But here, as social scientists, can we do a research like pollution and mortality? Can we establish the causality? There was like a lot of research, if you can Google, and WHO versus the Health Minister of India. There was a lot of war of words, and the bureaucrats suggested that it not necessarily leads to death. But I think scientists again countered the ministers, and they gave some reports. So what I'm just trying to suggest is there are a lot of issues which we can take. We should not think it is not our cup of tea. A topic which may appear to be very, very part of core science, physical science, you can also think of socioeconomic issues also. I'll be giving one old example, which I am fond of giving this example. Maybe like young generation students may not be knowing, Madam Jayalalitha, she was a very powerful chief minister of Tamil Nadu, and you know the fan following and the craze. And I'm wondering, you must be wondering why this example in RM class. I think in the next slide, maybe it will be a bit clear. So when she died in 2016, I think this picture, you again must be wondering why I'm showing in this RM class. And few dozens died, okay? Committed suicide or maybe like extreme shock. Now, my intention of presenting this class example is, from the picture, if you see some qualitative variable, as a researcher, maybe you might have felt the amount of grief, shock, emotion, or in that line, anger. If at all one of us is having a research, having constructs like this, measuring, studying, analyzing emotion, anger, grief, shock, how do you do this? So I thought I should give this example, maybe like one should first convince himself or herself, should I do this research? Can I do justice to this research? Is it worth doing a research? And how can I measure this kind of qualitative variables? Okay, and why should I do? What is the relevance? Now, those who are slightly convinced, can you please think and try, can it be a research topic? If some of you think, yes, perhaps at least, can you please try and tell me what is the relevance? Maybe Kavita, can you please help us out? I know that you are into qualitative research. Unmute, please, or any other volunteer.
So could you just repeat the question again?
Sorry, you are not audible.
So could you repeat the question?
No, if we take a research project like this, can anybody tell us, do you think it will be relevant research? Any volunteer? Because I wanted to say something.
Yeah, I will.
Can I
say something.
Please,
Yeah.
one by one. Maybe Vikas first, Kavita then Sudarshan.
So I possibly, I mean, just thinking of the fact, I may just want to do a research as to why are politicians so eulogized in the southern part of the country. It's not so visible in the other parts of the country. So that could be one subject of research.
Okay. Kavita, any input from you, or you want to say pass?
No, I would say yes, this is definitely a subject for research wherein we can find out from her state itself how many died or how many committed suicide or how many went into a shock or were taken gravely ill after her.
No, let me put my question again before Sudarshan takes over. No, do we feel that if we do research, will it be somehow useful, socially useful? Will it be carrying any meaning? That's what we are discussing. Sudarshan.
Sir, previously, a lot of research has been taken up by for the individuals. In this picture, the research can be taken up the why these in 2 years the success of the Jayalalitha CM and also what benefit he has imparted to the society and how the people are benefited on this. For that reason, there is a grief, shock, emotion, anger. On that research,
Okay, okay. Thank you. Well taken.
We could
Sally,
also
and
do a
then
research on emotional dependence on of a person on the ideal.
okay, Sally, and then Aurodev. Quick, be quick.
Sir, it can be like so it can be used by the medical researchers who are using like emotions and those things that affect the health of a person. They can use in their they can use that input in their research.
Wow,
So
wow.
like what
See,
can
now
be the
when
factors?
we are contributing, you are finding many points over doing it. Priyanka and then Arpita.
So my view would be, since she was the face of the party and it's been many years now, so it's something at least I wouldn't spend more time researching, because of course there could be a lot of stories behind what transpired to her death, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
Priyanka,
will
let
that
me,
make an
sorry,
impact?
Priyanka, sorry for interrupting you. Actually, we are just thinking of a broad issue topic. Let's not name Jayalalitha. We are
Yeah.
discussing, is it worth doing a research on grief, shock, emotion on this? So what would be its application, social relevance? Okay.
Got you. Okay, then definitely yes, it's worthy, because it does come into play in a lot of situations, irrespective of her. Then I would support doing the research.
Wow. Arpita, quick.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the recent time when the mental health is not being open up, people are not coming to the platform and speaking about the mental health. I think this research would be great help for those people enlightening the idea of speaking about the mental health.
Wow. Quick input by Satish and Aurodeep. Maybe like I'm happy that you are having very interesting points.
Yeah.
All noting. Yeah.
So in my view, one more research worthy aspect could be how does it impact the families of people who commit suicide or die of shock in such a
Yes.
situation?
I was waiting for that word. Sally, I think, had also suggested indirectly that. So, if you remember, particularly just day after the result declaration of class 10, class 12, and some of the young, bright student, those who do not do well, commit suicide. Why do they do? Okay, maybe like I'm not getting it. So, can they be counseled in advance by understanding that this fellow may do the extreme step? So, this is of great social importance, psychological importance. I think Sally told about the medical issues kind of thing. So, society has a duty to correct things. Okay, so the extreme steps people take, why do they take? Can they be prevented, counseled, so that the casualties should not happen in large number? So this is what I'm so happy that I'm sorry, like many of you might be having some more interesting points. If you permit me, can we proceed, please? So, how we can do this research? Let's briefly discuss. I think you can also participate. How do we do this? Just a very broad thinking. Maybe like in session number 2, session number 3, we can be having specific discussion once we cover some of the chapters. So now the main question here is, how do we measure a construct like frustration, depression, grief, emotion. If we take that example of Jalita case, what would be my data source? So these are the finer aspect every researcher should remember while carrying out a research. Data source is one, sampling plan is another. Please remember, if you note the data, should we also think of when their leader passes away? Suppose in Chennai, if you remember those who stayed during those months, days, entire city was almost, traffic was stopped, okay? No vehicular traffic. You can imagine. And there was a lot of chaos, lot of disturbances. And hope you will appreciate in Chennai, other than Tamils, other people from other states are also staying, okay? Are they also feeling the same way Tamil people felt? Suppose their leader passed away, maybe entire city when it is coming to a standstill position kind of thing. So now, is it worth having a detailed study how the degree of grief, shock varied across language, Tamil, non-Tamil, across political affiliation, AIDMK or the opposition people DMK, across gender, women, men, across ages, and the like demographic cohorts. So this will be interesting if you design your research, what you want to do, how you want to do. Okay, so this is what like every topic should be viewed in this way. Okay, maybe like when it happened next year, there was a memorial, and I made it a point I should visit this memorial of Jayalalitha in Chennai. I think some of you might have visited. I was just like wondering why people are so mad about her or any other leader like her. Okay, now let us move forward and discuss few challenges, just indicative challenges. Today, I have only two issues I'll be touching upon. Maybe in due course, in future, we'll be taking off many other challenges. Issue number one, suppose you are dealing with some qualitative research and you need to collect the qualitative data. And mind you, it will be really a very difficult situation collecting quality data. The issue here is the quality of qualitative data. Repeat, the quality of qualitative. How qualitative is your data? I'll be giving one example. Say, for example, a research done by scholars like this, a topic I'm quoting, conjugal happiness. And when you are measuring the conjugal happiness, the differences across the parties or the players. Parties and players means, please think deeply. Conjugal starts with the word co. Co means two parties. It could be student, teacher, how the teacher is appreciated, how the student is appreciated, employee, employer. So the conjugal happiness, whether the employee is happy with the employer, whether the employer is happy with the employee, or in common parlance, spousal happiness, where you have got a husband, wife, like this. Now, if you measure a construct like this conjugal happiness, where you are not taking a single party, more than one party, please think of the challenge, how we are doing this. In the light of when the person who has done this, I'm just quoting him, Lao Lu. Now here, just like as an example, so that it's like having a feel factor. Suppose the parties are husband and wife, and how wife perceives her husband. So I think this is on your screen. I need not read it out, and the picture tells the tale. So this is what, like when you are asking one party and you go to the other party, hope this is more meaningful. So now how do you assimilate, how do you measure, how to do this? Can you imagine the challenge? So when you are taking some qualitative construct like this, it could be a huge challenge on the methodology. How do you measure? That is called methodology. I'll be giving so many examples, particularly in the second session. If we are discussing taking a new topic where less research has been done, and you yourself suggesting a methodology, and be prepared that there could be some comments, criticism, that how robust is your methodology by which you have conducted your research. This is what the challenge would be for a researcher. Now, second challenge is, of course, a very common challenge, ethical issues. I think Sumita ma'am had highlighted briefly about the plagiarism, fake research, and more serious thing is doctor results, and a very difficult scenario these days faced by all of us, all researchers, it is spurious journals, and it's growing in number. It's a huge racket. Okay, so we have to be very, very careful how not to get trapped into that spurious journal racket. It's a like very serious issue. I'll be just giving example today. I was just reading one news item here written by Harriet, quoting a senior researcher, Jennifer, who does research on molecular oncologist. She's very famous. And I'm just quoting her. I'm sorry. Is my screen visible?
The link hasn't opened yet.
Yes, visual.
No, I actually do not want to show you the link. I'll be just showing you the excerpts. I think the next bullet point is seen. You can see that.
Yes.
So this is
Yes,
what
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm just quoting her. So she's writing here, there is a like cottage industry in academic fraud. And to her horror, she found, which she did in lab for 8 to 10 years, it was copied by somebody else, and she was shocked. Then he further investigated, and she uncovered later that as high as 48 similarly suspicious papers, and just copied and close to her genuine original work. And she had complained to the journals where they had published the copied articles, and those journals had to drop that. Okay, some of the retractions were there. So what she is telling that hundreds of papers are generated by, they call it paper mills. Okay, and okay, so this is what like very serious issue. We need to know, understand this. Here is Jennifer. Let's proceed here. Today, our coming to the syllabus question, we'll be now discussing some of the basic concept of the research. Okay, I'll not be wasting your time in telling what is the research, definition of research, but I think you will be getting better definition from books, Google, Net. So just to be very brief, it is something, a search. Research is a search or investigation for knowledge, and you establish some new facts. Either you solve problem, or you generate some new ideas. Okay, so this is what we can define just from exam point of view. I think you can have a better definition. Let me not waste your time. So this is what the books say. It is a structure, inquiry directed towards a clear objective and for knowledge creation. So this may lead to two things: applied research, which is called problem solving, or theoretical research, you arrive at new theories or models. Now let us discuss some of the steps or stages of research. This is important. I think all of us know that there are few structured stages of research that we have to have the research objective or identify the research problem. Once we are clear about the research objective, we have to identify the data needs, data sources. Then we have to have the design, data collection method, and sampling plan. Then we go for collection of data. Once we collect data, we analyze and then interpret. These are the formal structured steps or stages of research. Okay, we'll be giving example and we'll be repeating it in the next class also. Today I have got a small case and I'll be asking you to discuss among yourself. Are you getting the different stages here in this piece of research or not? So from one angle, we can classify research as basic research or applied research. Applied research is problem-solving research. Basic research is theoretical, theory development research. From another angle, we classify research as qualitative research or quantitative research. Also, we can classify as exploratory versus conclusive research, particularly in the area where we have no much literature, no much idea, we'll be ending up with first having some exploratory research. Then, after having or gaining some initial insights, then we can plan for a conclusive research. We can also have case study research. These types of research, again, we'll discuss in the next class. This is a brief classification. As you can see, the conclusive research can further be classified into two types. One is descriptive research, another is causal research. A research where you want to establish cause and effect type of relationship. Okay. I think this is easy, that how do we collect data with a direct observation method, or if your research warrants, you go on continuously observing and collecting data, we call that longitudinal study. Okay. And I think scales we can discuss later. We have got 4 fundamental scales. One is nominal scale, another is ordinal scale, next is interval scale, and the last one is called ratio scale. I am supposed to cover this in detail with examples in the next session, but let me briefly introduce that nominal scale is one which is just for namesake. Say, for example, gender, male, female. It doesn't have any numerical value. Or athlete's chest number. Okay, those are nominal scale. Ordinal scale, where you put it in order or ranks, first, second, third, so that it's ordinal scale. And interval scale is for the better, higher scale, where you put in interval. I think I can briefly give one of the simple example as CGPA. Okay, so 5-point scale, 10-point scale is the best example of interval scale. And the ratio scale is the highest form of a scale where you measure express in numerical values having numbers. Okay, I think let's have a small case. One of you, maybe particularly Neha, can you help me remind me the first 3 cases? We can take it off in the next class. You can take some issues like, say, we all think of conducting a research, and my proposition, say, nowadays, whether in rural areas, if you visit, the farmers do they still depend on cattle power, or they are now using modern implements? How dependent are they presently? How they're moving from traditional plowing to using machineries? So if how we can plan a research? So this example we will be discussing slowly. What would be the methodology? What would be the variables, and how data will be collected? Will be going for qualitative data, quantitative data, or both? Second example, say for example, how do we plan a research if we want to do having a research question? If girls make a better choice for maybe like a specialized role like a front office customer reception management and the like. And the last one, biting strength of wild animal. This is what I want to discuss today. Other cases, slowly we can take it up. Please listen to me. I'll show you a small video. I request you all to watch the video carefully. And I'll just tell after the video what would be the basis of discussion, what we would expect from you, and you have to present individually or in a group what you understand out of this small video. Just one of you help me if audio is okay. I think we have almost viewed the entire clip. It was 3.5 minutes. Hope you have noted some of the key words expressed, narrated during the video clip. Now, what we'll be doing, it could be, if you want, we can make a group discussion or maybe like individual discussion. As it is my first case, let me tell you, which I will not be telling in the next case. We should be thinking and discussing broadly on this point. First, can we really call it a research? We have to convince ourselves. And if you're taking off this as research, we should be convinced about whether it will be relevant or not. Is there any novelty, newness in this research if we want to carry this? And just now, as the main point of my today's class, we are introducing stages, steps of research. Can we elaborate, discuss on the stages of research with respect to this particular case? And clearly, what is the research objective? If you can tell that. And can you identify what data here involved collected, types of data, collection method, and measurement scale? And more importantly, as my role in quantitative research, I will be trying to involve myself and expect from you what exactly to measure and why to measure. So this is what we will be discussing.